Venerable sisters and brothers, Dhammagrins, we are going to start the question and answer session. To start the session, I will give a little briefing or some introduction. It's a kind of a reminder maybe. In this discussion, we will be considering any questions or statement regarding the basic instructions or about precepts we have already taken, and other things related to this orientation program and rules and regulation related to this retreat. So if you have any kind of a question or unclear points, you may come out with, instead of talking each other, we welcome to this session. In addition to that, the main purpose of this discussion is to have questions pertaining to our practice. When we are sitting and meditating or try to be mindful in sitting posture, when we are developing mindfulness in walking, meditation, and when we are trying to be mindful in our day-to-day practices, how is it happens and what does you experience directly under your nose, and any questions or difficulties pertaining to that we will be taking discussion. In other words, we are not going to discuss theoretical questions or theory for the sake of theory, and adhere more towards the pragmatic part. Practical part, or therefore sometimes I may cross-question the questionnaire if it is not clear. If the question is not clear, I will cross-question the questionnaire if he or she is happy. So usually when you are participating in the discussion, two ways. One thing is you can write it before the session and put into the question box. And your name is not necessary. And the other part is that whenever these written questions are over, you can raise your hand and then we will pass the mic so that you can raise the questions to the audience. So that's what I thought of giving in terms of as introduction. So having given that, I will ask Vincent to present the written questions to start the session, please.
Today we have 3 questions. The first one, Dear Bhante, could you please explain sitting and walking meditation in Sinhala too? I understand English, but I am a Sri Lankan. I would grasp 100% if I hear it in Sinhala.
What I can do is, to be fair to the audience, we have a recorded talk on how to do sitting, walking, and day-to-day, and it is about 1 hour talk. So you better listen it in Sinhala, and I hope it will fulfill your requirement. Not maybe up to the 100%, but usually it would do. So therefore, please consult Vincent. He will help you in that regards.
The second question, it is painful for me to walk and I was told not to put weight on my leg till it heals. Can I sit instead and go for short walks?
Usually we give equal time for walking and sitting. So therefore, if you have a kind of a ailment or any difficulty, you may do so according to the instructions of the physician. But I will make sure that recovery will be faster if you do walk.
The last written question, my lower part of the body, hip and feet, get tense during sitting meditation. Does this pain reflect my cloudy mind and uneasy balance on my body and mind? Second part, what does it mean when I am unbalanced during walking meditation? What does it maybe mean when I am unbalanced during walking meditation?
Both of them appear like complaints, but this is what happened when and where you become aware about the body. When you become mindful on your body, you try to feel all these odd things, imbalanced things, and they are rather results of your mindfulness, but often uninstructed mind consider them as obstacles. So therefore, when and where you sit, your feeling, sometimes uncomfortable feeling, indicates the mind is within the body. But you feel this directly under your nose. But in its outlook, it appears like a distraction. It appears like a hindrance. So therefore, you have to go prepared. When and where you are mindful, here and now, often you feel unexpected, uncomfortable, irritating kind of a feeling. So therefore, when and where you become mindful, I would say there are 4 characteristics. First and foremost thing is, you feel irritation. When you are walking, you find you are not walking symmetrical. You are not walking in a comfortable way. Either if your left leg is driving, right leg is just driven like. If your right leg is driving, left leg is driven like. So you find both the legs are not taking equal weights. And when you are sitting also, whenever you become mindful, be aware and be alert and be diligent, you find a different kind of or unexpected kind of irritation feelings happen. That rather indicates now mindfulness is working. And the second aspect you may see, you may complain, self-complain, telling or interpreting, telling I have not sit comfortably, I am not walking in a symmetrical way. Likewise, self-complaint can happen. Third aspect, if you are going complete furtherance, you will find fault with others also. You may find fault external, something. I have not given proper instructions, or the ground I am walking is not properly leveled, or the cushion the person prepared is not done properly. All the kind of fault finding can happen. And the last aspect is, you become pedantic. These can be sorted them out well before the retreat, and it is not my fault, it is the fault of the other kind of thing. All kind of reasoning, interpretation can happen. So therefore, take them as a sign or gateway or entrance to the mindfulness. All the 4 appear negative. Irritation, self-criticism, fault finding with others, and the pedantic nature, everything must be perfect like. So that the specific purpose of this interview is, purpose of this discussion is to look at it in the correct perspective and then try to take these signals or message in a positive way. When and where you try to mindful, these kind of things can happen, unless otherwise you look at it in the correct perspective, you will find reason to get up and go. But if you get the real interpretation or real explanation, you will be happy and you will be glad. These are the real signs to say, I am mindful. Because when these things are happening, it is happening exactly here, exactly now, exactly in me. Here, now I am. So therefore, even if you get proper instructions, even if proper basic instructions, even if you do your practice, if you do not get this interview, if you do not get this discussion properly, you may put them in the negative form. But when and where you put it in the positive way, correct perspective, next time you will go prepared. You will go prepared for this kind of thing in sitting and walking. So this is how your practice, your basic instructions and your interviews come into hand in hand, and then only the proper balance meditation, proper balance mindfulness can take place.
Hello, Bhante. Thank you for having this session. My question is about walking meditation. Typically when I walk, my focus is on the heat in my hands. It's the object of my meditation. But today and yesterday, I started having a lot of pain in my neck. Should I continue to focus on the heat in the hands, or should I look deeper into the pain, investigate it, so that hopefully it will go away?
Usually the pain at the neck, the here happen because of your wrong tilt in your head. So if you look at very closely towards your leg, that also can cause pain. So therefore, while doing, just do adjust the tilt of your head, and then it may find a comfortable angle, and that may help. Otherwise, by such a simple way, if you can't get it off that, see walking without the neck pain and walking with the neck pain, under what circumstances the mindfulness becomes very sharp, mindfulness becomes very diligent, mindfulness becomes very vigilant, without a distraction or with distraction. So, just before I come, we had an open air walking session for children and the elderly people, and in the question and answer, a boy came, about 7 years old, and I gave the mic and asked, what is your experience regarding walking meditation? He just says, I walk, I feel muddy land soon after the rain, and I felt a creature like a mosquito is on my leg. Then I asked, can you still walk while the creature also walking with you? Yes, I can feel, still I can feel I am walking. So how long? Maybe 3-4 steps. Then I told, next time, ask the creature to come, do walking meditation together with you, how long you can keep the steps. More steps means more you mindful than without a creature, without a mosquito or without a fly. So these things are giving added value if you know how to go through it and take it in a positive way, but don't torture yourself. Don't do it purposefully, but when it is happening, try to make use in an adventurous way or advantageous way, so that you will understand the mindfulness often work in a very strategic way whenever it is going together with the distraction, going together with the kind of irritation or abnormal thing. But still, if you continue, that mindfulness is more inclined to the insight meditation than concentration meditation. So some people are very happy not to have distraction and have mindfulness facilitating the concentration, one-pointedness. But there are some people naturally, they are not much worried about the concentration. They are happy with the mindfulness itself. And they find whenever there is a distraction, mindfulness is very diversified, very colorful, and you can see through the distraction. You can go through the distraction, but still you can maintain the pace.
Thank you, Bhante. My question is about minding the mind during my sitting meditation. When I'm dreaming, when I'm sleeping and I'm dreaming, I sort of see images kind of in front. When I'm in the sitting meditation and I'm minding the mind, I see images in the back of my head, inside, in the center, sort of. How do I really know whether I'm dreaming or I'm minding the mind? What should I, is there anything that I need to look for to be sure that I'm not just sleeping and dreaming, but I'm actually minding the mind?
Two things I would like to go. One thing is, while that minding happens or while dreaming happens, are you aware that you are sitting? So that means you are mindful. You get full marks. While it is happening, the thinking or daydreaming, fantasizing, or your conscious thinking can happen. Or pain, sounds can happen. Whatever it happens, just don't get disheartened, just to see, are you sure that am I sure that I am not walking, standing, lying, but sitting? Well, that means you are within the frame of the mindfulness. And then the thinking is a purposeful, volitional or passive. The thinking happens or you think effectively. It's called active thinking and passive thinking. So there's a book called Thought Without a Thinker by Mark Epstein. He says 95% of our thoughts are without a thinker. And we are worrying 100%. But 95% are just voluntary inner chatter. Unless otherwise you do meditation, unless otherwise you become mindful, you are worrying and you are taking the responsibilities, everything as if you are thinking. But they are background thoughts. They are inner thoughts. They are passive thoughts. And therefore, main thing is not to worry because they are not volitional. As far as they are not volitional, as far as they are not intentional, then there is no karmic forces. There is nothing you are responsible about that. Then you understand, within the mind, 95% beyond my control. So the pattern of thoughts, with what agenda? Whose agenda? And you find morning to evening, they are happening in a full-fledged way, and we have no bookkeeping. Ultimately, we take, if you are not giving an effective approach, mindful approach, naturally you ultimately consider that you accept the baby, and ultimately 100% worries. The day you understand the thoughts, how much they are passive thoughts or inner thoughts or background thoughts, you see how innocent you are. And when I was in Panditarama, one person asked this question, and the answer given by Sayadaw is been later published. I hope I have the article, and I would like to share with you all to see how much they are passive thoughts, how much they are inner thoughts. The term used there were background thoughts. And have a bookkeeping. Let it happen. Don't disturb it. Don't worry about that. Just see what is the agenda behind. And then apply the same to the talking you are doing day to day. How much of are purposeful? How much of them are short to the point? Or how much them are leading to chatter? And think about the physical activities. How much do we do purposefully or utility value? Or how much we do to our habitual way. And who is behind it? What is the agenda? Ultimately, we have to take the responsibility if we are not mindful. And if we have no any discrimination between volitional activity and voluntary or involuntary activities. And in the talkings also, how much you do talk short to the point, or just talking for the sake of talking, chattering. So as far as they are going, uncontrolled, imagine what is happening within the mind. So therefore, looking at it, knowing that it, and exposure into that is not a mishap. It's not an unfortunate thing, it's a diagnostic thing. No one can do for yourself, your sake. You have to do. And you can't do it by contemplating. You can't do it by future or past. You have to do on the spot, red-handed. But each and every person come across that situation, first thing they do is they worry. They regret about thinking everything is beyond my control. But very knowing that beyond my control is a good thing or bad thing, if I question, what is your answer? I know things are beyond my control. Knowing very thing is a good thing or bad thing. We social being always reject it, consider it's something wrong. The Buddha says this is the starting point. Then only, one word only, you can understand who am I, what am I, what is happening. So this diagnostic thing, the Buddha says even he can't help us. He also can give the tool. He can give a reflector or a mirror. You can see, and so you can see the image. What is happening? It is happening in the mental form, verbal form, and in the physical form. And when you go to the mental form, it's rather beyond control. So therefore, be aware and be with it. And without any adjustment, without any judgmental, if you can observe, that very observation itself become a restraint. So that is non-judgmental, a choiceless way. Let the thinking happen, and you take observer's position. You get backward and observe what is happening within the mind. And exactly the same thing happening in the other person also. We are sharing the same mind. Bodily we are changed. Exactly the same. And then you understand, where are we? Are we in the daydream or night dream? So that is why we are in the multiverse, not in the universe. Each and everyone is living his or her bubble, and that is created, and another person living his or her own bubble, and it is multiverse. Never we communicate. We think we are communicating, but communication never takes place because we are talking different languages, different dimension, and different multiverse way. So therefore, even the age is information technology age. We are mad world. More and more misunderstanding. Technologically, we are very advanced, but we are not talking short to the point, not short and sweet. So first we have to understand within and see how vulnerable when we get together in a society, specifically when they are not trying to be mindful, what is happening. So therefore, looking at it is such a bold thing, it's an adventurous thing. And next thing is you have to exactly express it. In the interviews, in the discussion, then only you understand by exposure, by be present, not by escapism. Just looking at it itself, you start the journey. It is not mindfulness. That is called clear comprehension. After the mindfulness, it's everything, all the data analysis going to happen through the clear comprehension. So you are no more yourself, now you are looking at as if someone else. Your mental process appear like someone else. So like you become a objective-subjective difference can happen. It is very healthy.
Hello, Bhante. Thank you very much for coming to this retreat for us. I just have a single question.
Close to your mouth.
I have a single question. About a month ago, after giving into a particular sensual pleasure, I've had more difficulty establishing mindfulness. When I establish mindfulness, a very strong pressure appears on the bridge of my nose. And as I concentrate more on the meditation object, the pressure on my nose increases. And upon investigation, I feel that it comes from almost the front portion of my forehead, attached to the bridge of my nose. And it is especially limiting for when the mind begins to let go of the body and it establishes stronger concentration. I feel that the pressure almost acts as a barrier, and now I cannot concentrate as strongly as I did before. And so I would appreciate your advice in this matter.
Yeah. Two ways. One thing is, after the event, everything happened through hate base. Dissatisfaction, not appreciating, hate base. Second thing is, your main purpose is not the mindfulness, you are worrying about the concentration. So these two I find always parallel. So therefore, I myself take the rule of thumb, don't go for concentration, be mindful and mind your own business. Soon you go beyond mindfulness, you are asking for trouble. Because mindfulness is a kind of a leading thing. When and where it come up to a certain capacity, it leads to concentration, to the wisdom and everything. But without fulfilling the mindfulness vessel, and if you are going to tackle concentration as such, so that means you are not qualified for that. The other thing is, everything happens in the hate base. Self-hate, guilt, moral shame, moral fear. So these are very vivid, very interesting things to the mindfulness, but very antagonistic with the concentration. So therefore, put it in a simple way, first thing first. Now you have done something, and you have the critical mind, or self, the moral shame and the moral fear is there. That's the way it is catharsis, it is revealing, it is going out. Let them happen again and again. More and more moral shame and moral fear happens. So it is a kind of a healing process. Only the mindfulness can stand in that gushing air, gushing water. But the concentration cannot. So once that is gone out, once that is catharsis finished, then concentration can take place. And then everything will become a double positive experience for you. And you can understand what is happening in the outside world. The people are often going to take the answer without properly analyzing the question. Without proper diagnosis, you are going to write the prescription. And you can understand what is happening. That is what the medical world today. No proper diagnosis, jump into chemicals. Ultimately, iatrogenic effect. The diseases due to drugs rather than germs. So therefore, first thing first. So in that sense, the healing power, the recovering power of mindfulness is such a high potential there. But I found that many in the meditation world, they never give the mindfulness in the proper place, and instead they are happy with the concentration. So the moment you go to the concentration, things will get more complicated. And you will not be more to the diagnostic side. You may be escapism, finding escapism. So catharsis never takes place. You suppress it. But the mindfulness instead, let it happen. The pus coming out. And you feel in the piecemeal basis, there's moral shame happens, moral fear happens. But if you face it, if you let it happen unhindered, you see it's a healing process. And that add into your experience, if you look through mindfulness rather than concentration, if you are going to look through concentration, definitely you will leading to more and more guilty and fault finding, that kind of thing. So therefore put in the correct perspective, be mindful when the guilt happens, moral shame and the moral fear happens. And the Buddha mentioned, as far as you don't have mindfulness and the clear comprehension, you have destroyed your base to have healthy fear and the healthy shame. If you are mindful and if you are comprehend clearly, then only the lajja and baya, or hiri or tappa in Pali, moral shame and the moral fear happen. So therefore, moral shame and moral fear is the governing power of the world. So to have it, you must be a mature person. So these things, the two things I reminded was, don't let it happen through the hate base, and don't let it happen in the concentration-seeking mind. Just seek mindfulness, and then you find slow but steady development.
Thank you, Bande. There's 3 questions. Number 1 is, when we are sitting, moving better or never moving better? The second question is, when
you have pain, please repeat the first question.
The second question is...
First question.
First, sit, never move better, or moving is okay? Which way is better?
What is the cause for movements? You feel pain?
Sometimes.
So otherwise, why you are moving?
I don't know. That's why. There's a choice for me.
Okay, then let me ask you a question. That moving, something happen or you do something? It's what you do, or is this happening something to your body?
Sometimes I try to do something. Sometimes I never try. But so
just like the passive thinking and active thinking, just see your bodily movement is through the body knowledge or your conscious volitional activity.
I think conscious.
And if it is happening, see the cause, why it is moving. Oh. Why should I move if I am sitting comfortably? It must be some uncomfortability.
I'm just thinking maybe too long and maybe do something.
For the first 2 days it may happen because we have to change our timetable and the behavior. So continue like that. And more moving means more torturing. And sitting still is kind of a comfort. Or in the Ananjasappaya Sutta, the Buddha says, each and every movement is a defilement. Ready to accept? Are you ready to accept?
Last sentence.
Each and every movement is a defilement.
Okay.
When mind becomes less and defiled, calm and quiet. So take it in the relative way. So when we are raising children, are we to advise them to dance all the time and be happy, be giggling, or let them be calm and quiet? So what is my advice to my second generation? Likewise, what is my advice to my body? And to make it comfortable, you can't do it overnight. You have to be very patient, slowly, but you must keep your mind. The more and more movements means mind is more agitated and you are vulnerable for more and more defilements. So therefore, let the body to calm down, let the mind to calm down, and less activities, at least volitionally. But even then, there are some involuntary movements in the body, metabolic functions like heartbeat and all the kind of. So don't worry about that. They are not happening through your consciousness, your volition. They are natural happening. Put them under the bag of what you call the body knowledge. But what I am talking is just promote more and more calm sitting and less volitional movements, and with that continue, and then you will learn the art with time. Now the second question.
The second question is, stay in one point better or whatever you want better?
1 point?
Concentrate,
So that is again the same question. We are talking about whether on mindfulness or concentration. So in the basic instructions, I have never used the term concentration. Because now I know it is like a drug.
Usually I stay in one point.
No. Be aware what is happening. Be mindful about your sitting posture. Not to focus, not to be in the one single pointed, and it will happen later. First and foremost is have a bookkeeping about your mind, how it is roaming, how it is jumping from object to object, posture to posture. But you are not doing, whenever it is happening, be aware. That is rather a definition for mindfulness. But the concentration or one-pointedness is a result of continuity of mindfulness. Whenever the mind becomes continuous, from thought moment to moment, then the concentration will set in. But though it's a product. It's a product. It's a byproduct of mindfulness rather. So therefore, you facilitate mindfulness, and then slowly you will learn the art how to earn concentration. Don't try concentration at the beginning. Clear, or still you need?
I will ask them later. The third question is, stay where you belong
I can't properly hear. You have to close, yes.
Yeah. The third question is, stay where you belong or go out everywhere you like?
Not clear. The question is not
stay
clear.
Inside your body better or go out wherever you like better?
That is the term restraint. Our natural nature or unrestrained mind is to run without an agenda. Knowing that you can stop it overnight, knowing that, give a task. Give a simple, verifiable, under-the-nose task, and let the mind to take it as a pivotal point or benchmark, and let the mind to be there. And even if it is jumping, that is your nature. Be aware of it. But don't promote it. When and where you have a chance, let the mind to be maybe in the breath, or rising and falling, or in sitting posture, or in walking, knowing that I am walking, or left leg and the right leg. So jumping outside is due to your maybe habitual situation or karmic forces or whatever may be. Don't go against it. Don't react to it. But instead, when and where possible, bring mind here and now. And after a while only, you understand ways and means how to keep it in here and now. So you have to be very patient at the beginning. She wanted.
Thank you. I have two separate questions, and they're very different. For me, walking has always been something that my legs do. It has nothing to do with me. Even when I walk in the wilderness, I've always been aware of my legs moving, everything. I can be looking at the wilderness, taking it in. The legs are doing what they're doing. And then when I come here, and even in my daily life, I can walk, not a problem. I can feel it. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, everything. The experience is there. I can sense it. When I come here and I'm asked to do walking meditation, something that's really not my business, it's just what my legs do. Now I'm focusing, and maybe there's a separation. I am not sure. It's almost like I'm trying to involve myself with something that's already there. So I'm trying to put that together somehow.
That is called effortless walking, and walking with effort. So in the beginner, whenever they introduce, whenever he or she is introducing walking meditation, it appears like a very big task. As if a baby try to learn how to walk. That is not to fallen down or not to get off the track of the mindfulness, to keep the mindfulness as walking, almost like a baby learning how to walk. But in day-to-day activities, without the mindfulness in view, you can walk, and it is happening through your body knowledge. And even if you start like a beginner, like a baby learning how to walk, and after a while, when you become familiar with the place, when you become familiar with this exercise of mindfulness, later, slowly, with mindfulness, you will learn the art how to walk in an effortless way. So at the beginning, you have to, some or the other do get a little bit of restraint maybe, and to walk with mindfulness. And maybe you are seeing visual objects, hearing, other sensations may happen rather more than at the soul or at the feet, but amidst, if you know, as far as you know you are in the walking posture, it's fair enough. Continue with that. And I feel like it is something effortful, or like regimentation. I feel like marching in the army like. But it will take only few days. Again, you will learn how to do walking meditation effortlessly, but still mindfulness intact.
I see. And my other question is, and I want you, it's like, I was doing Vipassana for a very long time.
You have to speak to the mic, please.
I've been doing Vipassana for a while, and there's a lot of stress in my life. But I noticed from one day, and for the last several months, all of a sudden, all my dreams are vivid. They're alive like I'm watching a movie all night long, every single day. Doesn't stop. I don't know if that's good, if what's going on with it, but it's intense. It's like watching a movie every moment that I'm asleep.
So that is, whenever your mind becomes vigilant, when your mind becomes diligent, the lucidity of the dreams become increasing.
It very increased.
And later you may find even in the day-to-day activities, what you do purposefully, itself is kind of a dream. So Lao Tzu from China is a sage. One day he dreamt a butterfly. Such a lucid way, he felt like a butterfly. After getting up, he wrote a message. I had such a nice lucid dream. Now I do not know whether butterfly dreaming a man or man dreaming a butterfly. Mm. So this is our life. When we are dreaming a butterfly, we become a butterfly. And then butterfly dream a man. So this is the way. So it's called Maya or mirage or magic. So in the Kalkarama Sutta, the Buddha mentioned the mind is a magician showing a show in a crossroad, and how vividly and how naturally he is doing, everyone gets absorbed. But it's a magic. So it is called magic of the mind.
But I also think my experience is that I'm becoming more spiritually evolved because of this. Something is happening, and I'm becoming more things that I really never, but I'm more aware of now. And I think
this is transitional period. You try to understand the concept versus the reality. So as far as you do not know, do not verify concept and reality, that's called schizophrenic or bipolar, and you can run mad. Yeah. And people who can understand, so much so it is verifiable, concrete materiality, and so much so it is a mind-based concept. So the Buddha says, whenever you focus to one particular object in mindfulness on your body, corporeality. For example, if you take the breath, as far as you are in the breath, in the beginning, you are done away with the worldly worries, worldly distractions and all the kind of, because your mind is now face to face with the breath. But when you keep on continuing with the face to face, the breath becomes subtle. Ultimately, breath going to become just a perception. At the beginning, breath is, this is the middle, this is the end, this is the beginning, the middle and the end, this is in-breath, out-breath, every vividity is there. But when you keep on observing, matter become just a perception. Rupa become Rupa Sanya. And when that happens, if you are not with the healthy background of the mind, you can run mad. Because that whatever you see, you can see through, the matter become energy, energy become matter. Energy collapses into matter and matter dissolves into energy. And that is the Newtonian physics and the Einstein physics. So when that happens, what happens to your egocentric thinking? What happens to your future planning with this materiality? What happened to your communication? And what happened to your comparison with other people and things? Everything has to revolutionary change. And again, at the time it is energy, at the time it's matter, at the time it's a concept, at the time it's a reality. And when it is happening, you can understand how quickly you become rejuvenated. Your aging process stops. You begin at the time you are energy, at the time you are matter, and you find the people take matter as permanent, concrete and everything. But you prove yourself, whatever the matter you focus with this mindfulness and the concentration and dissolve and see through happen, like a dream-like. And again it becomes concrete. So when this is happening, the mind is going from the material world to the non-material world, just like going to the space, where there is no gravity, and again you come back to the gravity, and you can see the difference, like astronaut. So it is a good exercise, but you must have a very healthy background, very healthy, profound base. So 3 pillars I found myself. You must have enough faith, you must have enough morality, and you must have enough mindfulness. Then you become amphibian, like you can live in water as well as in the dry land. You can jump into the water and again come back like a frog, like a turtle. That's why in the Zen, this thing, they are often take turtles, indicating it's an amphibian, live in the water as well as outside. So you are ready to say bye-bye to the materialistic world.
I have a question, and just for clarification. You talk about be here and now. Okay, I'd like to know, for example, when I'm breathing, I know I'm here. At the same time, I can feel my body. So I know I'm here. But when I feel the pain of my body, I know I'm here. But then I have a story or a thought attached with that pain that I want to clarify. I'm very aware, that thought of that mental fabrication attached with that pain, very aware that. So I went back to the pain. I went back to the breath. So I want to know, where am I? The thought, the attachment to the thought, am I here and now? Or I go back to the past? That's my first question.
So we'll sort it out because it's a very subtle one. Of course, in the series of Dhamma talks, we are going to take it because we are going to talk on the subject of feelings, Vedana. So whenever feeling happens, whether you categorize it as a pleasant or unpleasant, depending on your background. It is not concrete for the society at large. So therefore, feeling is always associated with, it's a value judgment, or judgmental this thing, and that judgment is going to say that desirable or undesirable. So therefore, whenever the Buddha says, whenever you have a pain, a dart, prick, and he says it's a pain because it's a physical one. But he says, and it is bearable somewhat. And if he says in the same place another dart happens, it becomes unbearable. The second dart is you are thinking about the pain. Your mental involvement of the pain. Dukkha and domanassa. Physical pain and the mental pain. Mental pain is what you add according to your value judgment. And then onward, Buddha says it's unbearable. So very first pain, of course it is painful, it's uncomfortable, but it is coming out and pierce into. But the second pass from in to go out and meet together. And then onward, pain becomes unbearable because it is associated with the mental part of the pain. So that is what in meditation we try to understand the mechanism. How does it happen? Does the external irritating thing itself is painful, or you add your value, you add your hate or escapism. Each and every time, whatever you do, the pain becomes unbearable. So therefore, discriminate these two. What is coming out and in, what is coming from in to out, and then you understand not only your pain, you understand the human mind, how it's working. So before that only I thought of today, just understand the function of mindfulness, the definition of mindfulness and the relativity of the relatedness of the mindfulness, and that we understand through materiality, and then only go to the pain. Pain is a very subtle. Pain is an immaterial thing. So when you go there, always you must have already prepared mindfulness. And on top of that, pain has to happen. And then you have to analyze it as if someone else. That is called get a distance from the pain and analyze it. It's very, very colorful, electric, intrinsic. Then the Buddha says, I say, pain is painful, I have no argument, but understand the mechanism of pain is the most pleasurable thing on the human life.
So in a sense, if I'm doing that, I look at that, and internal or external, that is still here and now. I'm not talking about in the past.
No, that the other part is, while you are suffering from pain, your primary object also there, the breath. Should I go to the breath or should I do the analysis of the mental and physical pain? So the situation becomes 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional, like increasing. So therefore, Pandita Sayadaw used to say clearly, as far as you have the confidence, go with the pain. If you have no faith, no confidence, then go back to the primary object for healing process, for recuperation, for recharging of the mind. But if you have boldness, if you have confidence, be with the pain, be with the thought, be with the sounds, no problem. But whenever you feel, not enough, I can't tackle, okay, come back home, come back to the primary object, then recharge it. And then again go there, likewise, coming back to the barrack, or to go to the battlefront, is a warfare. So coming back to the barrack is not a withdrawal or defeat. It's a strategy, war strategy. Likewise here also, when your mindfulness is not up to the mark, come back to the primary object. But if the mindfulness is bold enough, full of confidence, then you dash through.
Thank you.
Bhante? Oh. I was having issues, wondering about if there's a proper way to deal with sleepiness.
What is that?
Sleepiness while sitting.
Pricky?
Sleepiness.
Oh.
Yeah. And whether you should just, on one hand, you can worry about it and then you just can't wait until the time is over. And
so your sleepiness mainly in sitting or in both sitting and walking?
in the morning, in both. So how do you...
So another one question, whenever you recover from the sleepiness, you come back to the wandering mind, or after sleepiness, mind come back to the primary object?
It is, I find that when the sleepiness gives away, I am able to focus again on where I am.
You can come back to the primary object.
Yeah.
So if that is so, you better not to call it as a sleepiness. It's a hiding mind. Mind find ways to escape the situation. So therefore, for example, just like I mentioned that if you manage to be with the breath, for example, and after a while, when you keep on mindful, continue with the mindfulness, the breath become bored, monotonous, and lethargic, because it is not dramatic, the same object. So under such circumstances, mind try to escape. And it appear like sleepiness, a slimy mind. But all of a sudden get a jerk, you come back to the primary object. So if that is the case, it's a sign of advancement. Because mind, after the sleepiness, come back to the primary object or easily come back to the primary object. But if it is sleepiness, it wandering off from the different objects and there is no accountability, no bookkeeping can take place. So, okay. Now you say you theoretically understand it is a slimy mind, it is a, hiding mind. And if it is so, you can understand it is happening at a certain level of your concentration, mindfulness. First you associate with the primary object, after a while only, mind escape. Mind run away. For that, my teacher, Venerable Jnanarama used to say, when it is happening 10, 20 times a day, 10, 20 times within a sitting life. So go prepared to see early signs of the sleepiness. It never happened as an accident. It has the process, episodes. So when you go prepared, and you can understand this is how the story starts. Slowly, the object become bored. Object become monotonous, uncertain, fearful. Under such circumstances, it slips. But again, come back. Whenever it comes back, come back to the primary object. So therefore, after you have to catch the thing at the end of the sleepiness, not at the beginning of the sleepiness, but beginning of the sleepiness, you have to go prepared. That can happen. And you won't believe that can happen even in walking meditation. Even in the walking meditation, sometimes you start wavering here and there, and you can maintain the pose, and mind is somewhat slippery-like. But don't put the name as sleepiness. It is the hiding mind or escaping mind. So you have to go through it again and again, thinking or accepting it as one stage, one episode in this mindfulness game, mindfulness story.
Thank you.
I have a question. Could you elaborate a little bit about the Confucius story you just talked about, drawing the butterfly? Because now it's a human that he or she knows that he had a dream of a butterfly. So why bother to waste the second question? Is the butterfly dreaming of him or her?
You have to ask from the Lao Tzu.
Pardon?
Lao Tzu is the person who gave this parable or simile because his dream was so vivid. When he see a butterfly, he see 100% as a butterfly. Then the human life is a dream for him.
So if you are mindful, you mean you are mindful, but meanwhile it's also a dream. I am mindful that I'm talking to you, but then it may be a dream that I'm talking to you at this moment.
So that is what I try to explain. How can we incorporate this into our meditation is, whenever you manage to keep your mindfulness in single object, something like the breath. Breath has evolution. At the beginning it's very gross. In breath, out breath is remarkable. The discrete. Beginning, middle and the end is very discrete. More and more you go there, in breath and out breath merge together. Beginning, middle and end become not so very clear cut. And you know you are in the breath, but very difficult to note in breath, out breath. When you go further, the breath becomes subtle. And if you know this is the episode-wise development, and you can expect the subtlest level. There you can't understand whether you are with the breath. Is it worthwhile to call this is breath? They are the point where the dreaming and reality and concept come into mingle with. And that's the point we can apply. The concept is like a dream, reality is like mindfulness. So they merge like each other. But it is happening in a gradual way. So you can monitor it. You can master it with time.
And the break you mentioned is like the moment that you just finish your sentence, and then the moment that I'm talking about here, just very short period of time.
Yeah.
So, and then time is the continuation of infinite breaks. So, and now I have to be mindful that there are so many breaks.
So that is the thin slicing of time. If you can cut this time into more thin, more frames per 1 minute, then you can understand the magic. But you take it as a solid. Time is like a thread or like a rope. But if you cut into things, it is the way the mindfulness is working. That's the way it becomes sharp. That's why it becomes very diligent and vigilant. And you can understand, imagine a cartoon film you are seeing, but not running at the 1100 rounds per second. It is slow, moving in a slow way. Then what happened to the cartoon film? You can't entertain it. But it has to run into proper rotation, then only animation can happen. But when you slow run it, what happened to the animation? What happened to entertainment? What happened to the tragedy and the comedy of the show? Because this is what happened when you do thin slicing of time. It is not what you do, it is what happens when the mindfulness continues with the momentum gathered. Cut through.
Yeah, I would say, like, as a mathematics student, it seems like calculus and integral.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are time up. And most of the questions are not the beginner's questions today. Not the first day. First day questions are just how to start mindfulness life. That means many are senior meditators. So this is the way I can understand what must I talk tomorrow, where to address. So therefore, before ending the session, I would like to thank you people. I am doing this retreat for about now 10 years. How much you are teaching me, no one can measure. Daily you bow to the teacher, but the teacher never bow to the students. But you are giving a continuous training for me by this dialogue. So therefore have always association with meditating people. So ultimately you naturally get imbibed, sharing of their abilities. So happy to live with meditators. Thank you very much for the participation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.